Hey guys, Byron here. Day one Bucs, Dolphins, joint training camp practices. A lot of takeaways. Where should we start? Well, I guess we start with Tom Brady. I mean, I don't know how many years I got to come on here and do these videos and tell you that Tom Brady looks amazing. I mean, the ageless one. He looked way better than Tua and Teddy Bridgewater on the other side. The arm strength was still good, and most importantly, Tom Brady was dropping dimes all over the field today. No Mike Evans. Didn't see Cameron Brate either. Ton of Julio Jones today. Julio Jones was running absolutely wild today. He looked amazing. I mean, he's always a guy that's going to look fantastic at camp. I know it's mostly about him being healthy, but I really do believe in this particular system, he's going to get the opportunities, especially with a veteran like Brady, who clearly already trusts him extensively. I think if Julio stays healthy, we can start to throw away what happened last year in Tennessee with Tannehill and that kind of anemic passing offense. You know, what's the upside here? Actually, probably quite a bit for Julio. I think at the very least, he definitely needs to be drafted, and he's going to be involved early and, has the potential to be a fantasy impact player. I mean, at very least, I think a guy you can start at your flex. Chris Godwin out here running around, moving pretty well. I mean, I've seen him many years in the past at camp, and I certainly don't think he looks 100%. He's got that brace on that leg. Maybe he's dragging that leg a little bit, but certainly moving around pretty well and quite a bit, and definitely looks like a player that the team is trying to get ready much sooner than later. So I would expect a relatively early return for Chris Godwin at this point based on what I've seen. No Cameron Brate today. We saw definitely a little bit of Kyle Rudolph in the mix. So I would expect, we still may see a couple of tight ends in the rotation this year. I mean, very clearly, Leonard Fournette is the lead dog here. He's going to have a big, big year. I mean, make sure you go and draft yourself some Leonard Fournette in your fantasy leagues this year. I truly do believe that my observations about Gio Bernard last year could come true this year. I mean, he wasn't really healthy last year. He was new to the team, and it was still a very crowded running back room with Ronald Jones, an established veteran here. At this point, Gio Bernard is the established veteran behind Leonard Fournette, and he's actually the perfect complement. I mean, they bring him in on third down. They bring him in the hurry-up offense. I really think it's going to be vast majority reps Leonard Fournette, clearly workhorse in this offense, but I think the complementary piece is going to be Gio Bernard, which means I think he can be drafted as a running back that sits on your bench like we did last year, and there will be opportunities to deploy him as your flex, and especially in PPR, I think he's going to have some value in deeper leagues at like maybe your flex 2 position. I think he should be drafted. I'll be looking to draft him in some of my leagues and see if we can maybe get the performance we were hoping for last year. I think it's just more viable and more logical this year, and certainly looks more apparent on the field at this point. The rotation really was Leonard Fournette 1, Keyshawn Vaughn 2, Gio Bernard 3, and then it was actually Kenyon Barner and Rachaad White, the rookie, behind him. I will say that once we really got to team, it was almost all Leonard Fournette, and then situationally Gio Bernard. So I think we need to view Keyshawn Vaughn more as Leonard Fournette's direct backup, and that's where most of his value, I think, is going to come from. I mean, he might get a few touches every game, but it's definitely not it could be a committee to some extent, but I really do think this is a lead dog situation still for Fournette, and you should be very comfortable drafting him early in your leagues. I would look at Gio late. I would look to handcuff Fournette with Keyshawn Vaughn late. Fournette spoke pretty highly of Rachaad White, said the sky's the limit. I just think the situation with rookie running backs in a Tom Brady offense is a treacherous one, and there's guys in front of him that are viable and experienced with this team and also pretty good. So I do think it's going to be difficult for the rookie to get much playing time, especially early on, without some type of injury. And then when we turn over to the Dolphins side of the ball, lots of interesting players on the offense. I mean, really a lot of interesting players. When you figure in Preston Williams, Cedric Wilson, all these guys behind Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I believe they just signed Adam Shaheen to be a tight end behind Gesicki. We saw Mostert, we saw Edmonds, we saw Sony Michel today, even saw Salvon Ahmed. So I think Miami will be the definition of a running back by committee. They're going to need to run the ball an awful lot this year because the chemistry is just not there yet in the passing game. I think it's a work in progress. Definitely Tua, not a very strong arm, much smaller human in person than I imagined. Definitely not a big guy. I think they're just still trying to gel on the offensive side with the new coaching staff and all these new players in Miami. Saw a lot of run after catch stuff with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Not a lot of deep vertical targets. Something to keep an eye on there. I mean, certainly Tyreek was the lead guy, and he himself, he looks amazing when the ball's in his hand. But, after seeing Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams and some of those guys at camp, I'm going to have to make sure that we've got Tyreek Hill below those fellas on the cheat sheet. I mean, I know he's already below Cooper Kupp, who's the number one overall receiver in fantasy, but really think he belongs behind Devontae Adams at this point based on what I saw. And then, the Dolphins running back rotation, it was, again, it's going to be a committee. All these guys got touches, but if you want to get real technical about it, Chase Edmonds was number one guy, first up in team drills in the rotation, followed by Sony Michel, followed by Raheem Mostert, and then Salvon Ahmed. But I really think Mostert and Michel looked good as well, are going to play quite a bit. So difficult running back room to pinpoint on any given week. So I think we'll be looking for value there late in our drafts or on the waiver wire as the season progresses.